The Whispering Airwaves, a Ham Radio Odyssey, is a heartwarming and richly detailed coming-of-age story about a young boy named Johnny who discovers the fascinating world of amateur radio, also known as ham radio. The story follows Johnny's journey from stumbling upon his grandfather's old ham radio set in the attic to becoming an avid radio enthusiast himself. Hi, welcome to New Ham Basics. I'm your host, Greg, KD9ZRO. What you just heard is a snippet of the description below, which may turn out to be a book description, depending on how well this goes over. The story you're about to hear is a work of fiction, meaning it is made up. It's not true. It is mostly my own work. I did have some AI assistance with the writing. The images and voice you're about to hear are completely AI generated. But if you enjoy the story to follow, make sure you hit that like button. If the story inspires you to take an interest in amateur radio, make sure you subscribe so you can not miss my other regular postings, which are about either my journey into ham radio or research that I've done about ham radio. I also have an event coming up that I'm going to be covering, hopefully live stream. But in the meantime, enjoy the story and let us know what you think in the comments down below.
The Whispering Airwaves, a Ham Radio Odyssey. It was a lazy summer afternoon that hung heavy with the scent of freshly cut grass and the drowsy buzz of cicadas. Sunlight filtered through a dusty attic window, casting a warm glow over the cluttered space. Johnny, a 10-year-old with a mop of unruly brown hair and eyes that sparkled with insatiable curiosity, had been exploring the forgotten corners of his grandfather's attic, a veritable treasure trove of relics from bygone eras. Amidst the clutter of old trunks, moth-eaten blankets, and discarded knick-knacks, a peculiar object caught Johnny's eye, a bulky contraption with dials, knobs, and a microphone protruding from its boxy frame. Cobwebs clung to its corners like gossamer curtains, and a thin layer of dust coated its surface, evidence of its long slumber. Johnny's fingers traced the intricate patterns etched into the metal casing, his brow furrowed in concentration as he tried to decipher the purpose of this mysterious device. It was unlike anything he had ever seen before, and his inquisitive mind buzzed with questions. "What's this, Grandpa?" Johnny called out, his voice echoing through the musty attic. Grandpa, a spry old man with a twinkle in his eye and a face etched with laugh lines, emerged from behind a towering stack of boxes. A nostalgic smile played upon his lips as he caught sight of the dusty contraption in Johnny's hands. "Ah, that's my old ham radio set," he chuckled, his voice rich with memories. "Back in my day, it was the coolest thing around. We used to spend hours talking to people from all over the world, just by twisting those dials and pressing that big button." Johnny's eyes widened, his imagination igniting like a spark in a tinderbox. "Ham radio? What's that?" And so began Grandpa's tale, a tapestry woven with stories of far-off lands, exotic accents, and the thrill of making new friends over the airwaves. As he spoke, his voice took on a wistful tone, transporting them both to a time when the world seemed smaller, yet infinitely more connected. He regaled Johnny with tales of late-night conversations with fellow enthusiasts in distant countries, their voices crackling through the static like whispers from another realm. He spoke of the camaraderie that blossomed among these kindred spirits, united by a shared passion for exploration and communication, transcending borders and cultures with every exchange of call signs. Johnny hung on every word, his imagination soaring across oceans and continents, carried aloft by the magic of radio waves. Fascinated by the stories of adventure and camaraderie, Johnny begged his grandfather to teach him the ways of the ham radio operator. Grandpa, delighted by his grandson's enthusiasm, obliged, his eyes twinkling with nostalgia and a hint of pride. With patience and guidance, Johnny learned the basics of radio operation, the phonetic alphabet, and the proper etiquette of the airwaves. His fingers trembled with excitement as he twisted the dials, adjusting the frequency until the static gave way to a cacophony of voices from around the globe, each one a tantalizing glimpse into a world beyond his own. CQ, CQ, this is Whiskey Alpha 6 Zulu Yankee, come in. Over. Johnny spoke into the microphone, his voice wavering with anticipation. The static crackled and hissed, a symphony of white noise punctuated by the occasional burst of distant chatter. Johnny held his breath, his heart pounding in his chest as he waited for a response, his knuckles whitening from the grip on the microphone. Suddenly, a voice pierced through the silence, rich with the cadence of a distant land and the warmth of a welcoming smile. Whiskey Alpha 6 Zulu Yankee, this is Kilo Bravo 2 Tango, reading you loud and clear. Welcome to the world of ham radio, young operator. Johnny's face lit up with pure joy, his eyes sparkling like diamonds. In that moment, he felt a connection to something greater than himself, a vast network of kindred spirits united by a shared passion for exploration and communication, a tapestry of voices and experiences that spanned the globe. As the operator's voice crackled through the speaker, Johnny could almost envision the person on the other end, perhaps a grizzled old sailor, or a wide-eyed child like himself, their worlds colliding in a fleeting moment of magic made possible by the airwaves. From that moment on, Johnny was hooked, consumed by an insatiable thirst for knowledge that burned brighter than the summer sun. He spent countless hours poring over books and manuals, devouring every scrap of information he could find about amateur radio. The intricate dance of Morse code became a symphony to his ears, and he practiced tirelessly, his fingers tapping out the rhythmic patterns until they ached, the cadence etched into his very being. He joined a local ham radio club, a motley crew of enthusiasts who shared his love for the hobby. They were a diverse bunch, raw, NGING, from retired engineers with decades of experience to wide-eyed high school students just discovering the magic of the airwaves. But they were united by a common thread, the insatiable thirst for knowledge and the joy of connecting with others across vast distances. In the club's dimly lit meeting room, the air was thick with the scent of solder and the hum of electronics. Johnny listened raptly as the seasoned operators regaled him with tales of their most memorable contacts, their voices tinged with pride and wonder. They spoke of the thrill of making contact with a rare and elusive station, the static giving way to a voice from the other side of the world, a fleeting connection forged across oceans and continents. They shared stories of late-night conversations that stretched into the wee hours, forging bonds of friendship that transcended borders and cultures. Johnny soaked it all in like a sponge, his mind a whirlwind of call signs, frequencies, and exotic locales. Each tale ignited his imagination, fueling his desire to explore the vast expanse of the airwaves and forge his own indelible memories. As Johnny's skills improved, he set his sights on a new challenge, making contact with amateur radio operators from the farthest corners of the globe. He learned about DXpeditions, where intrepid ham radio enthusiasts would venture to remote locations, braving harsh conditions and logistical challenges, all in pursuit of rare and coveted radio contacts. With a group of like-minded adventurers, Johnny embarked on a DXpedition to a remote island in the Pacific Ocean. The journey was arduous, with treacherous terrain and unpredictable weather testing their resolve at every turn. They trekked through dense jungles, their boots sinking into the rich, loamy soil as they hacked their way through tangled vines and undergrowth. Sweat beaded on Johnny's brow as he hauled his gear, the weight of the radio equipment a constant reminder of the challenges that lay ahead. But the thrill of setting up their station and calling out to the world was unparalleled, a siren song that lured them ever onward. Under a canopy of stars so brilliant they seemed within reach, Johnny and his team huddled around their radios, their voices carrying across the airwaves like whispers on the wind. With each successful contact, they exchanged call signs, signal reports, and snippets of their lives, forging bonds that transcended borders and cultures. Johnny's heart swelled with pride as he made contact with operators from far-flung corners of the globe, their voices crackling through the static like distant echoes. He could almost envision their faces, etched with the same sense of wonder and excitement that coursed through his veins. In those fleeting moments, they were united by a shared passion, a tapestry of voices and experiences woven together by the magic of the airwaves. During their DXpedition, as Johnny scanned the airwaves with practiced precision, a faint distress signal caught his ear. Amidst the static and interference, he could make out the desperate pleas for help, the coordinates of a stranded vessel lost at sea. His heart pounded in his chest as he quickly relayed the message to his team, their faces etched with grim determination. Without hesitation, they sprang into action, their fingers dancing across the dials and knobs as they established contact with the nearest Coast Guard station. Johnny's voice was steady and clear as he transmitted the distress call, the weight of the situation bearing down upon his young shoulders. He could almost envision the stranded vessel, its crew clinging to hope as the waves crashed against the hull, their fate hanging in the balance. As they waited, with bated breath, the true gravity of their role became apparent. They were more than just hobbyists. They were a vital link in a chain that could mean the difference between life and death. The airwaves crackled with urgency, each transmission carrying the weight of 1,000 prayers. When the news of the successful rescue reached them, Johnny felt a surge of pride and purpose unlike anything he had ever experienced. In that moment, he realized the true power and importance of amateur radio. It wasn't just a hobby, it was a lifeline, a means of connecting people and potentially saving lives, a beacon of hope in the darkest of circumstances. Filled with a newfound sense of purpose, Johnny dedicated himself to mastering the art of emergency communications, vowing to use his skills to make a difference in the world, one contact at a time. Years later, Johnny looked back on his journey with a smile that reached his eyes, a lifetime of memories etched into the creases of his weathered face. From that dusty old ham radio set in his grandfather's attic to the far-flung corners of the globe, amateur radio had taken him on an incredible adventure, one that had shaped him into the man he had become. It had taught him valuable skills, forged lasting friendships, and instilled in him a deep appreciation for the power of communication. He had witnessed firsthand how a simple exchange of call signs could bridge vast distances, transcending borders and cultures, and how a single distress signal could mobilize a life-saving effort. Johnny's fingers traced the well-worn dials of his own radio, the metal warm to the touch from countless hours of use. Each knob, each switch, held a lifetime of stories, a tapestry woven with the voices of kindred spirits from every corner of the world. He remembered the thrill of making contact with a rare and elusive station, the static giving way to a voice from the other side of the globe, a fleeting connection forged across oceans and continents. He recalled the late night conversations that stretched into the wee hours, forging bonds of friendship that defied the boundaries of time and space. And as he passed on his knowledge and passion to the next generation of Radio enthusiasts, Johnny knew that the spirit of ham radio would continue to connect people, weaving a tapestry of voices and experiences that spanned the globe. It was a legacy that would endure, a testament to the enduring human desire to explore, to learn, and to forge bonds that defied the boundaries of distance and circumstance. The autumn sun cast a warm glow through the window, bathing Johnny's room in a gentle light. He sat in his favorite armchair, surrounded by the familiar hum of his ham radio equipment. Though his body had grown frail with age, his eyes still sparkled with the same youthful wonder that had ignited his passion for the airwaves so many years ago. As he gazed upon the well-worn dials and knobs, Johnny's mind drifted back to that fateful day in his grandfather's attic, where a dusty old radio set had sparked a lifelong adventure. He remembered the thrill of making his first contact, the static giving way to a voice from the other side of the world, a fleeting connection forged across oceans and continents. A smile played upon his weathered lips as he recalled the countless late-night conversations that had stretched into the wee hours, forging bonds of friendship that defied the boundaries of time and space. He had shared laughter and stories with kindred spirits from every corner of the globe, their voices weaving a tapestry of experiences that spanned cultures and continents. Johnny's fingers traced the well-worn grooves of the microphone, his mind awash with memories of the DXpedition to that remote island in the Pacific. He could still feel the weight of the radio equipment on his back as he trekked through dense jungles, the anticipation building with every step. And when they had finally made that first contact from their remote outpost, the sense of accomplishment had been unparalleled. But it was the memory of that fateful distress call that truly filled Johnny's heart with a profound sense of purpose. He had been a vital link in a chain that had saved lives, a beacon of hope in the darkest of circumstances. In that moment, he had realized the true power of amateur radio, a lifeline that connected people, transcending borders and boundaries. As Johnny's gaze swept across the array of radios and antennas that adorned his room, he felt a deep sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought him to this point. Amateur radio had been more than just a hobby. It had been a way of life, a passport to adventure and discovery. With a contented sigh, Johnny reached for the microphone, his fingers finding the familiar grooves with ease. He adjusted the dials, tuning into the frequency that had been his constant companion for so many years. This is Whiskey Alpha 6 Zulu Yankee, signing off. For the final time, he spoke, his voice steady and clear. It's been an incredible journey, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. As the static crackled in response, Johnny closed his eyes, a peaceful smile gracing his features. He had lived a life filled with wonder, adventure, and the magic of the whispering airwaves. And as he drifted off into a contented slumber, he knew that his legacy would live on, carried forth by the countless lives he had touched and the enduring spirit of amateur radio. Johnny's key had gone silent for the final time. In the crackle of static and the whisper of distant voices, the echoes of a lifetime spent chasing the magic of the airwaves could be heard, a journey that had taken Johnny to the farthest reaches of the world and the depths of his own soul. And as he closed his eyes, the voices of those he had connected with over the years could be heard as the whispering airwaves gave way, a chorus of kindred spirits united by a shared love of adventure and discovery knew that Johnny had become a part of the spirit of the airwaves.